Thousands of years ago, long after the time of Prophet Adam, humanity began to forget the true purpose of their creation. At the beginning, people worshipped Allah alone and followed the path of righteousness. But slowly, over generations, the whispering of Shaitan began to change the hearts of people. Among the people were some righteous men who were loved and respected by everyone. They were known for their kindness, wisdom, and devotion to Allah. Their names were Wad, Su'a, Yaguth, Ya'uq, and Nasr. When these good men passed away, the people felt great sadness. Shaitan saw this opportunity. He came to the people and whispered to them that they should make statues of these righteous men so they could remember their goodness. The people thought this was harmless. They carved statues and placed them in their gathering places. At first, no one worshipped the statues. They were only reminders of the righteous people who had lived before them. But as time passed, the generations changed. The children who grew up later did not know the true reason the statues were made. Slowly, Shaitan whispered again to the people. He told them that their ancestors used to worship these statues and that these figures could bring blessings and protection. Little by little, the people began bowing to the statues, asking them for help and guidance. Thus, idol worship spread across the land. The people abandoned the worship of Allah, the one who created the heavens and the earth. Darkness covered their hearts, and they forgot the truth that had once guided their ancestors. Allah, in His mercy, did not leave the people without guidance. Among them lived a man who was pure in heart, truthful in speech, and patient in character. His name was Nuh. Allah chose Nuh to become His messenger. He was commanded to call his people back to the worship of Allah alone and warn them about the punishment that would come if they continued in disbelief. Nuh stood before his people and began his mission with kindness and sincerity. He said to them, "O my people, worship Allah. You have no God other than Him. I fear for you the punishment of a terrible day." But the people looked at him with disbelief. They had lived for so long, following the traditions of their fathers, that they could not imagine leaving their idols behind. Still, Nuh did not give up. With patience and faith, he continued calling his people to the truth, hoping that their hearts would one day return to the path of Allah. Prophet Nuh began his mission with patience and compassion. He truly cared for his people and wanted to save them from the punishment of Allah. Day after day, he spoke to them, reminding them of the blessings Allah had given them and warning them about the danger of worshipping idols. He told them that Allah alone created the heavens and the earth, the sun and the moon, the mountains and the rivers. He reminded them that Allah was the one who provided them with food, water, and life itself. Nuh said to them, "Ask your Lord for forgiveness. Indeed, He is always forgiving. If you repent and return to Him, He will send rain upon you in abundance, increase you in wealth and children, and grant you gardens and flowing rivers." But instead of listening, most of the people rejected Him. They covered their ears when He spoke and turned away with arrogance. They refused to even think about leaving the idols of their ancestors. Whenever Nuh tried to speak to them in public, the leaders of the people would mock him. They said, "We see that you are nothing but a man like us. Why should we follow you? Only the poorest and weakest among us believe in you." The rich and powerful people were afraid. They feared that if the people followed Nuh, they would lose their control and authority. So they spread lies about him and warned others not to listen to his message. Still, a small group of sincere people believed in Nuh. Most of them were humble and poor, but their hearts were open to the truth. They believed in Allah and followed the message of their prophet. The leaders of the disbelievers became angry when they saw these believers. They demanded that Nuh drive them away. They said, "If you want us to believe in you, remove these poor people from your gatherings." But Nuh refused. He told them that the believers were honored in the sight of Allah and that He would never turn them away just to please the arrogant. Years passed, then decades. Prophet Nuh continued, calling his people to the worship of Allah. He spoke to them during the day and at night, in public and in private. He used every way possible to guide them. But the hearts of most of the people remained hard. Instead of listening, they mocked him even more and continued worshipping their idols. Despite all the rejection, Prophet Nuh never lost hope. He trusted Allah completely and continued his mission with patience, knowing that guidance comes only from Allah. The mission of Prophet Nuh was not short or easy. According to the Qur'an, Nuh remained among his people, calling them to Allah for 950 years. During all those centuries, he continued delivering the same message with patience and sincerity. He invited them during the day and during the night. He spoke to them openly in public gatherings, and he also approached them privately, hoping that some hearts might soften when they heard the message quietly. Nuh reminded them again and again that Allah alone deserves worship. He warned them that the idols they served could neither benefit them nor protect them. They were only stones and carvings made by human hands. But the more Nuh called them, the more stubborn the people became. Many of them mocked him and laughed at his warnings. They accused him of being misguided and claimed that he only wanted to become a leader over them. The chiefs of the people gathered together and said to the masses, "Do not abandon your gods. Do not leave Wad, nor Suwa, nor Yaguth, nor Ya'uk, nor Nasr." These were the idols they had begun to worship for generations. The leaders were determined to keep the people away from the truth. They feared that if the message of Nuh spread, their authority and influence would disappear. Some of the disbelievers even went further in their cruelty. They insulted Nuh and threatened those who believed in him. They told the believers that they were foolish for following a man who, in their eyes, had no power or wealth. Despite this harsh treatment, Nuh never responded with anger or revenge. Instead, he continued speaking with wisdom and patience. He reminded them that he did not ask them for any reward. He said, "My reward is only from Allah. I do not seek wealth or status from you. I only want you to be saved from a painful punishment." Years turned into generations. Children grew up hearing their parents reject Nuh, and they learned to mock him just as their elders did. Still, only a small number of people believed in his message. The majority remained stubborn in their disbelief. After centuries of rejection, Nuh felt deep sorrow for his people. He had tried every possible way to guide them, but their hearts had become sealed with arrogance and pride. Finally, Nuh turned to Allah in prayer. He complained to his Lord about the stubbornness of his people and asked for guidance about what to do next. What happened next would change the history of humanity forever. After many centuries of calling his people to the worship of Allah, Prophet Nuh felt deep sorrow. He had tried every possible way to guide them. He spoke to them with kindness, warned them about the consequences of disbelief, and reminded them of Allah's mercy and forgiveness. Yet most of them continued to reject the truth. Finally, Allah revealed to Nuh a message that ended his long hope for their guidance. Allah told him that no one else from his people would believe except those who had already accepted the message. This revelation was painful for Nuh. He had spent his entire life trying to save his people, but their hearts had become completely hardened. However, Allah comforted him and told him not to be sad about what they had done. Then Allah gave Nuh an important command that would soon change everything. Allah ordered him to build a great ship, an ark, under his guidance and protection. This ark would become the means of salvation for Nuh and the believers. Allah said to him to begin constructing the ark and to prepare for a great event that would soon come. Prophet Nuh immediately obeyed the command of his Lord. Even though he had never built a ship before, he trusted Allah completely. He began gathering wood and tools and started building the large vessel. He worked carefully and patiently, following the guidance that Allah inspired him with. The ark slowly began to take shape. But when the disbelievers saw Nuh building a huge ship on dry land, far away from the sea, they began to laugh and mock him even more than before. They passed by him while he worked and said sarcastically, "Oh Nuh, have you become a carpenter now? Are you building a ship in the desert? Where is the water that will carry this ship?" They laughed loudly and ridiculed him in front of others. To them, the project looked completely foolish. However, Nuh did not stop his work. He remained calm and continued building the ark with determination. Whenever they mocked him, he replied with patience, "If you laugh at us today, We will laugh at you later when you come to know the truth." The believers stood beside Nuh and helped him in the construction. Day by day, the great ark grew larger and stronger. Soon, the moment that Allah had promised would arrive, a moment that would bring a great trial upon the entire land. After a long time of hard work, the great ark that Allah had commanded Prophet Nuh to build was finally completed. It was strong and large, prepared to carry the believers and the creatures that Allah would save. Nuh knew that the moment of Allah's promise was approaching. Allah had told him that when a certain sign appeared, it would mean that the great flood was about to begin. The sign would be when water began to gush out from a tanur, which is a type of oven or place where fire is usually kept. This strange sign would show that the earth itself was about to release water. One day the sign appeared exactly as Allah had promised. Water suddenly began to pour out from the tanur. It was not normal water like rain or rivers. It was a powerful flow that came from the earth itself. At that moment, Allah commanded Nuh to begin gathering those who would be saved. Nuh quickly called the believers to come aboard the ark. They entered with faith and trust in Allah. Though they were few in number, their hearts were strong with belief. Allah also commanded that pairs of animals be brought onto the ark. From every type of creature, a male and a female were taken so that life could continue after the disaster. The ark slowly filled with the believers and the animals. Everything was happening exactly as Allah had planned. But among Nuh's own family members were some who refused to believe. One of his sons had followed the path of disbelief and had rejected the message of his father. Even as the signs of the coming punishment appeared, this son still refused to listen. Soon after, the sky began to change. Dark clouds gathered, and heavy rain started to fall from the heavens. At the same time, water burst out from the earth in many places. Rivers overflowed, the ground split open with springs of water, and the rain continued to pour down without stopping. The land began to flood rapidly. The water rose higher and higher, covering fields, homes, and mountains. The people who had mocked Nuh for building the ark now began to realize that his warnings had been true. But by then it was too late. The ark began to move upon the rising water, carrying Nuh, the believers, and the animals safely as the great flood spread across the land. The rain continued to fall heavily from the sky, and powerful springs burst from the earth. Water spread everywhere across the land. The flood grew stronger and stronger until the entire region was covered by rising waves. The ark that Prophet Nuh had built began to float upon the water. It moved safely across the huge waves, carrying the believers and the animals that Allah had commanded to be saved. The Qur'an describes the waves as being like great mountains. The ark rose and fell as the powerful waters carried it across the flooded land. While the ark was moving, Prophet Nuh saw something that filled his heart with deep sadness. Among the people who had refused to believe was one of his own sons. His son had rejected the message of Allah and had chosen to stay with the disbelievers. As the water rose higher and the danger increased, Nuh called out to his son with love and concern. He said, "O my son, come aboard with us and do not be with the disbelievers." Nuh hoped that at the last moment his son would listen and save himself. Even though his son had rejected the truth for many years, Nuh still cared for him and wanted him to survive. But his son answered with arrogance and false confidence. He believed he could escape the disaster by relying on his own plan. He replied, "I will take refuge on a mountain that will protect me from the water." The son believed that climbing to a high mountain would save him from the flood. He did not understand that this punishment had come from Allah and that no place could protect anyone except by Allah's mercy. Prophet Nuh answered him with a warning full of truth. He said, "Today there is no protection from the command of Allah except for those whom He shows mercy." Before anything more could be said, a massive wave rose between them. The powerful water separated the father from his son. In a moment, the son was swallowed by the flood and became one of those who drowned. The ark continued moving across the endless water, while the punishment of Allah spread across the land. The people who had mocked and rejected the message for Centuries were now facing the consequence of their disbelief. Inside the ark, the believers remained patient and trusted in Allah, knowing that He alone was their protector and savior. The flood continued to grow stronger across the land. Rain poured down from the sky without stopping, and powerful springs of water burst from the earth. The waters joined together until the entire land became an endless ocean. Villages disappeared beneath the waves. Fields and trees were swallowed by the rising water. Even the highest hills began to vanish beneath the flood. The ark sailed across the enormous waves that moved like mountains. Inside the ark, the believers watched in awe and fear as they witnessed the power of Allah. They knew that this was not an ordinary storm. It was the great punishment that had been warned about for many centuries. Prophet Nuh remained calm and patient. He trusted completely in Allah, knowing that the ark was under Allah's protection. The Qur'an explains that the ark was moving under the watch and care of Allah. Days passed while the flood covered the earth. Nothing could stop the water that Allah had sent. The people who had rejected the message of Nuh had no escape. Their idols could not save them, and their strength could not protect them. Eventually, the water reached its highest level. The great punishment had been completed, and the people who had refused to believe were gone. Then Allah gave a command that changed everything. Allah commanded the earth to swallow its water and the sky to stop its rain. Immediately, the rain clouds began to clear, and the pouring rain finally stopped. Slowly, the water began to go down. The powerful waves became calmer, and the flood gradually started to disappear from the land. As the waters lowered, the ark continued to travel until it finally came to rest upon a mountain called Al-Judi. The ark stopped safely there, carrying the believers who had been saved by the mercy of Allah. The Qur'an describes this moment with powerful words. The command had been fulfilled, the flood had ended, and the wrongdoing people had been destroyed. After the long storm and the terrifying waves, a deep silence covered the land. A new chapter for humanity was about to begin. After the flood began to calm, and the ark settled safely on Mount Al-Judi, Prophet Nuh looked around at the believers who had been saved. The terrible storm had ended, but the memory of what had happened still filled his heart with deep emotion. Among the people who had drowned was Nuh's own son, the one who had refused to believe and had tried to escape by climbing the mountain. Even though his son had rejected the truth, Nuh still felt the pain of a father who had lost his child. Remembering the promise of Allah that his family would be saved, Nuh turned to his Lord with humility and spoke to him in prayer. Nuh said, "My Lord, indeed my son was from my family, and your promise is true, and you are the most just of judges." Nuh did not question Allah's justice. Instead, he spoke with respect and hope, asking Allah about the fate of his son. Then Allah answered him with wisdom and truth. Allah said that Nuh's son was not truly part of his family in the sense of faith and righteousness. His actions were not righteous, and he had chosen the path of disbelief. Because of this, he was not included among those who were promised salvation. Allah also warned Nuh not to ask about matters of which he had no knowledge. Allah reminded him that true honor and belonging are based on faith and obedience, not only on blood relations. When Nuh heard this, he immediately understood the lesson. He realized that the bond of faith is stronger than the bond of family. What matters most in the sight of Allah is belief and righteousness. With humility and sincerity, Nuh turned again to Allah and asked for forgiveness. He said, "My Lord, I seek refuge in you from asking about what I have no knowledge of. If you do not forgive me and have mercy on me, I will be among the losers." This moment showed the deep faith and humility of Prophet Nuh even after centuries of struggle and hardship. He remained obedient and respectful toward Allah. The ark remained resting on the mountain, and the waters continued to decrease. Soon Allah would give another command, a command that would allow the believers to step onto the earth again and begin a new life. After the flood had completely ended and the waters continued to go down, the ark remained resting safely on the mountain of Al-Judi. Inside the ark were Prophet Nuh, the believers who had followed him, and the animals that had been saved by the command of Allah. For a time they remained inside the ark, waiting patiently for Allah's next command. They knew that everything happened according to the wisdom of their Lord, and they trusted Him completely. Then the moment finally arrived. Allah spoke to Prophet Nuh and gave him a command full of peace and mercy. Allah said, "O Nuh, descend with peace from us and blessings upon you and upon the nations that will come from those who are with you." With this command, Nuh and the believers were allowed to leave the ark. The long journey of survival had come to an end. Slowly, they stepped out onto the earth again. The land was quiet and empty after the great flood. The world they saw was very different from the one that had existed before the disaster. But for the believers, this moment was full of gratitude. Allah had saved them from the terrible punishment and had given them the chance to begin again. Prophet Nuh praised Allah and thanked Him for His protection and mercy. He taught the believers to always remember the power of Allah and to remain faithful to Him. The animals also left the ark and spread across the land, beginning the renewal of life on earth. According to Islamic tradition, the people who survived with Nuh became the ancestors of the future nations of humanity. Through them, new generations would grow and populate the earth once again. The story of Nuh became a powerful lesson for all who came after him. It reminded people that arrogance and disbelief lead to destruction, while faith and obedience bring salvation. But the story of Nuh was not only about the flood. It was also about patience, perseverance, and trust in Allah during even the most difficult trials. After centuries of struggle, Prophet Nuh had fulfilled his mission completely, and his story would remain a lesson for humanity until the end of time. After the believers left the ark and began living again on the earth, Prophet Nuh continued guiding them and teaching them to worship Allah alone. The terrible flood had become a powerful reminder of what happens when people reject the truth and follow arrogance and false beliefs. The small group of believers who survived with Nuh worked together to rebuild life. They cultivated the land, raised families, and spread across different regions. From them, new nations and generations were born. Prophet Nuh lived for many years after the flood. He continued to teach people about faith, obedience, and gratitude toward Allah. His life became one of the greatest examples of patience in human history. The Qur'an tells us that Nuh remained among his people for 950 years, calling them to Allah. Very few prophets faced such a long mission with such strong resistance. Despite the mocking, insults, and rejection he received, Nuh never stopped delivering the message of truth. He never gave up hope in Allah's guidance and never abandoned his duty as a messenger. Because of his incredible patience and perseverance, Prophet Nuh is remembered as one of the great prophets of Allah. His story teaches that success in the sight of Allah is not measured by how many people follow you, but by how sincerely you fulfill your mission. The story of Nuh also teaches an important lesson about faith. Even though Nuh was a great prophet, one of his own sons refused to believe and was not saved. This shows that guidance comes only from Allah and that faith cannot be inherited simply through family. Another lesson is that arrogance and stubbornness can blind people from seeing the truth. Even when the signs are clear, the people of Nuh were warned for centuries, but they chose to ignore the message until it was too late. The ark itself became a symbol of salvation for those who believe and trust in Allah, just as the believers were saved in the ark. Faith and obedience are the path that protect people from destruction. For this reason, the story of Nuh is mentioned many times in the Qur'an as a reminder for all humanity. It reminds people to listen to the truth, remain humble, and turn back to Allah before it is too late. Thus, the story of Prophet Nuh remains a timeless lesson of patience, faith, warning, and mercy for every generation that comes after him.